Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 7 of Not the Front Row podcast. My name is Matt.
And I'm Jen. And today we'll be talking about Rear Window. Rear Window was released in 1954. It was directed by Alfred Hitchcock. It stars James Stewart, Grace Kelly, and Raymond Burr. The budget for the film was $1 million and actually brought in $36.8 million.
And that was in 1954.
It was the highest grossing movie of 1954. So in today's terms, what do you think $1 million today equates to?
For a budget from
1954
70 years ago? I should know my inflation numbers. 10 million.
12. You were really close. And it brought in an equivalent of $430 million.
Man, that's crazy to me.
Well, but I wasn't. It was instantly considered, like right off the bat, it was instantly considered a classic.
1954 movies are so different than today.
Well, yeah. And I mean, if you look at the end of the movie, that's where you see the special effects.
Yeah, okay. I can't believe it made as much as it did, but I guess back then there weren't a lot of big movies like this one, because I imagine back then this was a very big deal when this came out because Alfred Hitchcock directed it.
Yeah, and I think I'm pretty sure James Stewart was a really big actor at the time.
Yeah, I think just when I clicked on his image, he had a ton of movies under his name.
Yeah, and Grace Kelly. I mean,
Grace
Kelly's amazing. She was Lisa, yes, the girlfriend. Grace Kelly actually quit acting to marry a prince. The Prince of Monaco, and she was killed in a car crash.
I don't want to sound stupid, but Monaco's what?
I have no idea. Don't ask me geography questions.
Like a UK thing or...
It's a country.
Okay. Yeah, I think the biggest reasons, obviously, those three were Alfred Hitchcock directed it, and then the two stars of the movie were probably some of the biggest stars.
I mean, Grace Kelly is so glamorous. I absolutely adore her. And yeah, I mean, I think at the time, and I don't know for 100% fact, I think at the time she was a pretty big draw as well. Apparently on the set, she got a lot of attention.
Oh, I bet.
To the point where James Stewart's wife was like, I'm going to be on set because she's got a little history of having affairs with her leading men. And apparently, she's actually from Philadelphia.
Oh, I didn't know.
Grace Kelly. Yeah. So that's fun.
I can see why she'd be a little worried because their chemistry was... I mean, those two in the movie had pretty good chemistry from what I took away from it.
I was trying to make sure I had her death right. I think it was a car crash, but it says here traumatic brain injury.
That might have been
it was from a car crash. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I like their chemistry in the movie, them two.
Yeah.
It was a little dry at first, but that might have been just
He did everything he could to push her away.
Oh, yeah, he was terrible to her. As far as, like, her being too perfect for him.
Yes. And he made the comment at one point, I think it was to the nurse, and I cannot remember her name, that...
Stella, I think.
Was it Stella?
Yeah.
That, like, basically insinuating that getting married is, like, the end of your life. You're just, like, with this nagging woman for the rest of your life.
Yeah, because
that's such a negative, like, perspective on marriage.
Yeah. That's getting a little into the movie, so before we do that... Did you see this back then when you were young? Or did you... Because it's like a murder mystery, so I imagine you didn't see it. I mean,
it came out in 54, so...
Yeah, you were like 20 when it was 1954, so...
I hate you.
But you... So did you see it when you were a kid, or did you see it when you were a teenager?
I believe I saw it probably when I was like in middle school. I don't remember like what...
Yeah.
Maybe Mom and I watched it. I don't remember. I've probably seen it somewhere between 5 and 8 times. I really like it a lot.
This was my first viewing ever. Yeah. I've never seen this.
It's actually one of my favorite Hitchcock movies. Ethan hates it. Aaron really liked it. Aaron watched it in film class. But yeah, I think I probably saw it around middle school for the first time.
And then Alfred Hitchcock did The Birds too, right?
Yes, and Vertigo. James Stewart was actually in Vertigo as well.
I don't think I've ever seen anything other than The Birds and this from him, from what I remember.
He did Psycho as well.
Okay.
Did you see Psycho?
I've seen most of Psycho.
I meant to look it up. I'm pretty sure James Stewart was in 3 or 4, if not more, Hitchcock movies. I know they did at least 3.
Okay.
Might have been more than that. Because he was in Vertigo. I think he was in The Man That Knew Too Much, too. And that was a really good movie as well.
All right, so the opening of the movie, you get that set, and this movie's just in his apartment pretty much the whole time. That little,
Yes.
it's not a cul-de-sac, but that what would you call that middle section of the apartment?
Like a courtyard.
Courtyard.
Maybe?
That's what. Yeah. So this whole movie is set in this courtyard.
And actually, it's
And you
funny. I
never
do have a
leave-
note about that.
And the camera never leaves the courtyard, which I did kind of like because you.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because like you see a lot of different things all
Right.
within one space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like even when they kind of have to try to follow somebody, you can see them like down the alley. Like they kind of use a lot of that, like just one camera perspective.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. But the set was one of the most expensive ever created at the time, and it was
I can imagine.
it was $100,000
Because they had the giant painting, I think, of New York in the background when they did some of the shots. Like they had that sunset shot at one point, and in the background, it's not an actual. It's just a set. So they have like
that.
It was a very orangey look when the sun was going down. I think they had a giant painting of buildings from New York, and then they had the huge.
Yeah, it had to be painted
apartment
because it was
set.
inside. The whole set was inside, and they actually had to. I think if I read correctly, the first 2 levels were actually underground.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so James Stewart's apartment was technically the second floor, but it was actually ground level.
Okay, and then
in the film,
2 underneath him.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I guess when they went down to the basement at one point, like they were actually going underground, which was kind of cool. Yeah, so like the beginning, you're really getting to just know the characters he's going to be watching.
I think for 30 minutes, you're getting to know.
It really is a big part of the beginning of the movie, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so different from this movie and these movies now, because I put in my note, I think I got to the 30-minute mark and I said kids would never sit through this movie today. Like I can imagine being in film class with a bunch of 15-year-olds these days, and nobody would be able to sit through that.
Ethan literally
nothing
said
happens in the first 30 minutes.
This is literally just somebody looking out a window. This is the most boring movie ever, and that like hurts me because I love this movie.
Yeah, we grew up in very different times when it came to movies, because now movies are so punchy. I mean, if you don't have something happen in the first 20 minutes, people are checked out.
And I mean, look at what the big movies are: Marvel movies and like action movies. Like that's mostly what you're getting.
So this is a very slow build to the actual beginning plot of the movie.
I think that's my favorite part of it.
It's just getting to know all the characters.
Yeah, I think I kind of like a movie that builds the story, and I don't mind a movie that's a little bit slower, where you get the character building from it. I kind of like that a lot. Like some of my favorite movies are like that. If they're a little bit slower. I'm not a huge action movie fan, so like this kind of movie to me is really good. And Hitchcock does that a lot. And if I read a note that said that was one of the biggest draws to this movie, was how they said it was a master class in building suspense.
I don't necessarily
agree with it being a master class in building suspense, because I feel like you get that feeling from the beginning that something was happening.
Yeah.
So I didn't get that it was building necessarily the suspense. I liked the character building.
I can tell you as a 31-year-old man, there was no point in this movie where I felt suspense. Like no part of me was, I mean, maybe one part, but like the first 40 minutes of the movie, and I was ready for it. I was ready for something to happen the whole time. I'm like, can they just show the actual murder so we can get on with it?
But if you think about it, nothing really happened necessarily.
Yeah, you never,
like there was no like
anything.
big dramatic thing.
There's no dramatic scene other than the end for the movie. So yeah, I watched this really late too. I started it at 11:30. It's a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
So
I actually didn't realize it was that long when I turned it on.
By 12:15, I'm like, come on. I'm like, I need something to happen. Like, I get it. Him and Lisa aren't in good terms. Lisa loves him. Well, but he doesn't want to be with her because she's perfect, and she's boring because she's perfect. And Stella is predicting the movie. Stella's predicting the movie by saying something's gonna happen if you keep looking out that window, or
she did say
you're
that
gonna
in the
see
beginning.
something that you're not supposed to see, and stuff like that. So like I get it. I'm like, I just want the murder to happen.
So the funny thing is that you're saying about kind of like Lisa and him on bad terms. The woman, the character that's Miss Lonely Hearts.
The one that's in the bottom floor, right?
Yeah, she's like kind of like the depressed.
Yeah.
That is supposed to mirror how Lisa feels in their relationship. So like when you see her sad in like a green dress, they'll cut to Lisa, and Lisa's wearing a green dress. So like it's supposed to mirror Lisa's emotions. So if Miss Lonely Heart is like happy on this date, her and Jefferies are getting along
Yeah,
really
yeah.
well. And if she's sad, you see that
Okay.
reflected. And they're always wearing the same color. And I thought that to me is the genius of Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Like those types of things that he puts into the movies.
Yeah, that's something I didn't notice, but that's
I didn't notice it, and I'm gonna look for it. I was reading about it. I did a lot of reading this morning about it, but I didn't notice it. And then when I watched clips, I'm like, oh my god, that's just brilliant to me how he does that. And I never would have connected that they were.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Reflecting emotions. I thought that was really cool.
I know a lot of people do that in movies nowadays, and I don't know if he was someone that people emulate now. I'm sure people did it before Hitchcock, but
I think M. Night Shyamalan has a lot of things like Hitchcockian inspired, probably, because he does a lot of those things. Like every time something happens, there's always red in the scene. Like he has a lot of that stuff throughout his movies, and I think it's inspired by Hitchcock. I would bet.
Okay, so quick tangent about that. M. Night Shyamalan's The Village had that whole color scheme going on with the red of the monster, or the monsters leaving red on the buildings, and then them all having to wear yellow when they go out into the forest so the monsters don't attack them.
Oh, like the cloak things
they
put on?
So I really liked his use of color in The Village, so I can imagine that was inspired by Hitchcock films where he
did that in The Sixth Sense too. Right, he used red throughout The Sixth Sense when you were supposed I can't remember if it was when you would see Bruce Willis and knew he was dead. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen that movie in the past 30 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does a lot of that.
Yeah, so there are 7 apartments that he watches this whole time?
Yeah, probably about 6 or 7, because you get the couple that sleeps on the balcony, which
why are they sleeping on the balcony?
I think because it's so hot and they don't have air conditioning, so they sleep out on the balcony.
Okay, at first I thought it was that they were 2 different spouses cheating, and then they slept on. But I'm like, why would you do that? Because everybody would see you. It's like I didn't know they were in the same apartment together. I was so confused on why they slept on the balcony.
It's funny to me because everyone in that apartment building acts like they're the only ones there. Like they're so for the majority of them are so exposed with their giant windows that they never close, or like I guess because it's just so hot. And then they didn't have none of them had air conditioning. I don't know if they had air conditioning in 1954. I have no idea.
I don't know either.
But they were all just so very exposed. So you get the couple that sleep on the balcony. You get the sculptor lady. She didn't have a big part in it, but you see her throughout the movie. And then the dancer, Miss Torso, he calls her.
Yeah, Miss Torso.
And then the musician.
Yeah, the piano player.
Yes. In real life, he's actually a composer.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, he actually created Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Did he?
Yes. So his name is, hold on, I have it written down. His name is Ross Bagdasarian. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. But after this movie, he actually did go on and create Alvin and the Chipmunks. And their Christmas song that's always on the radio every year, Christmas, he wrote that song.
I wonder how he ended
12
up in that.
Grammys or something.
I wonder how he ended up in that movie. Well, I guess, was he famous at this time?
I actually don't know. I don't know how he got the role.
I don't know when the Alvin and the Chipmunks came out, but...
It was after that. It was after Rear Window.
Okay.
Because he went on to create Alvin and the Chipmunks.
So was anybody in that apartment based on Jefferies' character, or was it just a woman that was based on Lisa or mirrored Lisa?
I don't think any of them mirrored.
Okay.
There was
I wasn't sure if the piano player
mirror.
mirrored Jefferies at all, because there were a couple times where he was sad and then he was with all his friends and
I don't think so. That wasn't really talked about.
Okay, so just Lisa.
Lisa was based on a real person. It was based on, I believe, the writer's wife. And I didn't write down the writer's name because I'm a doofus, but it was based on a short story by somebody named Cornwall Woolrich, who wrote it under his pen name William Irish. And the original title was a short story called It Had to Be Murder.
And that's what
this is based on.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, you have the woman, Miss Lonely Hearts, who we talked about. And then really the only other one that we see a lot of is...
The
salesman.
And his wife.
Well, do we ever... I guess we do see his wife a couple times.
She is in bed, yeah.
Yeah. His name is Lars Thorwald.
Yeah, I think throughout my whole notes I just called him salesman because I never really wrote his name down.
Well, funny enough, sorry to backtrack. So Alfred Hitchcock, I believe, makes a cameo in every movie, which is another thing M. Night Shyamalan does. So that's why I
Hmm.
think he was really inspired by this. But in the beginning, I think it's like right around when you first see the musician, there's like he looks like maybe a maintenance guy or something,
Yeah.
and that's Alfred Hitchcock. That's
Okay.
his cameo in the movie. So I did notice that. Um, so yeah, I mean that's really the beginning. What'd you say? Probably 40 minutes.
Yeah,
You're
for the
just
first 40
literally
minutes, you're just
seeing,
learning characters,
yeah,
and you learn why Jefferies is there,
yes.
stuck in this apartment because he broke his leg. So
I think he was in like he's a photographer for a magazine, and it seems
mhm.
like he goes to almost like war zones
Yeah.
because he talks about like almost getting blown up or kidnapped. Like,
Well, I think, yeah, I know he was in the war.
yeah,
It was him and
and
his
he
detective
photographs
buddy.
them as well, I believe.
Yeah, he had photographs of races on his wall,
Oh
and
yeah,
a
the
couple
car
other things.
crash. I
Yeah,
noticed that
and a
one.
couple other things. So he might just be like an all-around photographer
Yeah.
that works for the magazine, but he ended up breaking his leg. So
I don't know if they ever specify exactly how he broke his leg. I don't think they
no,
did.
nope. But I just a couple notes about the first 40 minutes is when he's got that like giant back scratcher and he's itching under
Oh,
his
like,
cast.
is it a back? I thought it was like a yardstick.
It
Or
might be a
something.
yardstick, yeah. And I was like, man, that must feel amazing because it was in 1954. It looked like he had much more of a torso cast.
Yeah, it was like up around his hips.
Yeah, so
too.
I don't know if that's because 1954 their casts were a little different. And they had to go higher up,
Yeah, I don't
or it
know.
could just be where he broke his leg that it had to go up. But man, him having to go like that must feel amazing, going all the way down your cast
Yeah.
to itch that spot. With
They
that.
had to put a hinge on the cast so he could walk around
Oh, really?
the set because he was like frustrated that he
Yeah, I can
stuck in
imagine
his
you.
wheelchair.
Because as soon as you get that cast on, they don't want you to take it off for the whole day you're shooting.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So you'd be
that.
stuck in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you have Stella, the nurse, who kind of tells you what's going to happen in the movie because she says, you keep looking out that window, you're going to see.
Because he doesn't lay in bed. He's always just sitting in the wheelchair by the window.
He doesn't even lay in bed. He just sits in the chair all day long.
Oh, the one other character that does kind of play a part is the woman with the dog. And how she lowers the dog down on like that pulley thing.
I love the basket because that's very so 1954. I don't know if people actually did that, but that seems super dangerous to let your dog down in a basket every day. But
and was there one lady that had a parakeet cage on the? I think you never see her again, but I'm pretty sure there was another on like the far left side of the building from our view. I think she had like a parakeet.
Maybe in the very beginning.
Yeah, in the very beginning, just hanging out like a cage. Like,
I think they do show a little more people in the beginning than they do in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, you just kind of get like an overall view, but then they're never focused on again.
Yeah. I do like the part where Stella's helping him, puts on his lotion and stuff for his back, and then makes him a sandwich, and she says, yeah, I'll spread a little common sense on it too for you. So I thought that was pretty funny. I like Stella a lot.
She's a really good character.
Yeah, I like Stella a lot as the nurse.
I like her sarcastic bedside manner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you can tell she cares about her patients, but she's also very sarcastic, which I think is funny.
Mm-hmm.
She's a good character.
And then I wrote later on when Lisa comes by for the first time, I wrote, I need a Lisa in my life to bring me wine and lobster.
I know, right?
Just like whenever I need it.
What did she say it was?
It was from 21 or whatever. Like like a restaurant that she went to after work.
Yeah, but she said it was like the week preview before his like main event of his cast coming off or something like that. Yeah. And I think she's some sort of fashion.
Yeah, because she was talking about the dresses.
I don't know if she's a model or if she's like a.
Dresses.
I think you might be right.
Yeah,
because she was talking about going to Harper's Bazaar and stuff.
Twice.
She's so glamorous though. That first dress she wears is amazing.
Yeah, I can see why people were very infatuated with her.
Oh my gosh, I love her. She's great.
But
she was in another Hitchcock movie too, I believe. One more before Rear Window, I think. Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But I'm pretty sure was in at least one other Hitchcock movie.
Okay. Set up for the actual murder was the salesman getting that call. And then his wife kind of sees, like,
you have to preface it with the fact that the wife is pretty much bedridden.
They call her an invalid.
Yeah, she doesn't really get out of bed. She must be sick.
Yeah.
So she never really gets out of bed, but she's not very, from what you can see, she's not very nice to him.
Yeah.
She's kind of mean.
She does not, he does not want to take care of her from what it looks like from his window.
Yeah, and when, like, he brought her food, and she said something like, it better be done this time. Like, and you could only, and then she, like, throws it at him. I'm like, I mean, that's not grounds for killing somebody, but like, you're not being very nice to your caretaker.
Yeah.
And you never know. He could be totally mean to her, but.
Yeah. And I had no idea. I was so confused on what was happening because they don't tell you that's his wife. They don't tell you who these two people are. I thought it was like him and like his daughter. Because she didn't look very old from the view that he had of the window.
I don't even remember ever seeing her face, really.
They show her in bed, yeah. You see her in bed like 3 times before the murder.
Yeah, you don't see her close enough to really kind of gauge.
So I thought it was like his daughter that he was taking care of and stuff like that. So I didn't even know that was going to be the murder.
Mrs. Thorwald.
I didn't know that was going to be the murder at all.
Oh.
I thought a woman was going to be murdered in the apartment and then they would have to figure out who in the apartment killed that person. I didn't know the murder was going to be in the same apartment with the same 2 people.
Did you know this was a murder mystery to begin with?
I did because
I didn't know if you knew anything about this.
Right before I started the movie, that description popped up on Xfinity and says a murder thriller thing. So I expected I expected one of the women on the bottom floor to die. And then he would have to try and figure out who went down there and killed her.
I wish I would have seen this for the first time again.
I don't. Anyway.
So my guess is you won't ever watch it again from your commentary.
There's one other conversation that I liked. I think this might have been right before the murder or the night of. I think it was because Lisa and Jefferies were arguing, and I think he broke up with her that night.
Well, that was when they were talking about how he was basically saying, you couldn't live my life and I can't live yours. Yeah. And then she was like, well, then you'll never see me again.
Yeah, and then
or not for a long time.
I like when they're starting to argue, and he says, and I love the line "simmer down." I think we should bring that back because obviously people now you say "calm down" and stuff like that.
Simmer down's a good one.
But I think we need to bring back "simmer down" because it's such a funny term. I can't imagine a husband telling his wife to simmer down nowadays.
We start using that.
Yeah, I like "simmer down" a lot. So.
And the funny thing, when she's leaving, she says, you're not going to see me for a long time, at least until tomorrow night.
Yeah, I was like, why did you change up so quick on that?
Because she's so in love with him.
Yeah.
And
which is crazy because she can get anybody in the world.
And he even says that.
Yeah.
He's like, why me? Like, she could have anybody she wants. Like, somebody much more glamorous than him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's like the classic opposites attract.
Yeah.
But you can just see... She loves him to the point where she can be nagging sometimes.
Yeah.
And at one point he tells her to like shut up.
Yeah, he just tells her straight up to shut up like 3 times.
It's like, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
Because he was trying to explain how his side, and he was just telling her to shut up because she wouldn't stop talking.
Yeah. But I feel like the way she portrays herself, I feel like she would go to the ends of the earth for him.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like she would do anything. Even if he wanted to pack up and lead this crazy out of a suitcase life, she'd be willing to do it. And I think she does say that at one point.
Right.
That she could do it. And it's just like, this dude treats you not the best. You could tell he loves her and doesn't want to admit it. Like, he doesn't want to admit that he just is in love with her.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that if he feels like he doesn't deserve her. I don't remember
I think he's afraid his life's going to be boring if he gets married to her.
Because he leads this exciting
Because, I mean,
life.
he was in the war. He's a photographer. He shoots all these crazy things that happen. So.
Yeah, and remember at one point his editor called and told like the next story, and he's like, I can be on a plane in an hour.
Yeah.
And he's like, not with your leg, you can't. He's
right.
like, I can make it happen. I can do it from a truck or whatever he said. Yeah, he doesn't want to slow down.
Right. So the night of the murder happens 46 minutes into the movie, which is...
Wow, you really wrote that down. You were really like, when is something going to happen?
Yeah, because I'm waiting. I'm like, something's got to... Like, this murder's going to happen soon, right?
So you didn't appreciate kind of the character building aspect of it?
I think it was a little too much for me, but that's because I'm like millennial brain now. Like, movies for me, movies that I've watched in the last like 10 years, stuff in that first 20 minutes, something's got to happen.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of know all the characters in the beginning.
Yeah,
very beginning.
So it just was a little too long for me. But I mean, this movie's from 1954. It was a different time back then. So the murder happens 46 minutes in. You don't obviously you don't see anything because that would ruin
he
the whole
gets
mystery,
suspicious. I don't know what piqued his interest. I think it was when he started seeing Lars coming in and out of the building.
Yeah, I think when he first saw him leave at like 2 a.m., he was like, oh, okay, he's just going out for like business. But then he comes back and then leaves again.
Yeah, 3 times,
it was like
right?
3 a.m. It was like 3:30 in the morning at that point because he keeps falling in and out of sleep. And then he leaves, at least from what I remember, he leaves twice. And then he comes back again with a woman at 6 a.m., but Jefferies is asleep and doesn't see it.
Yeah.
So he comes back with a woman at 6 a.m. and then leaves with her.
Yeah,
again.
and puts her on the train.
Yeah.
To her sisters.
Yeah, so that was the night of the murder. And then you spend the next hour or so
trying to piece it together.
Yeah, trying to piece it together. And it's funny how Jefferies slowly convinces everybody that he talks to that this actually happened. Because at first...
Except the detective.
Yeah, except the detective. Because at first he gets Stella in on it.
Yeah.
Starts talking to Stella about it. And Stella's kind of like... She's on board pretty quick with it.
Yeah.
And then Lisa takes a little bit longer. Because Lisa's trying to tell him that didn't actually happen. But then within like the first night that she's hanging out, he gets her to believe that this murder
he does
happened.
all these suspicious things. So like he tells him about how he's in and out, which is weird. I mean, what salesman of costume jewelry is going out to sell jewelry at 2 a.m, right? And you're making 2 to 3 trips with your case, but then you see him in the window wiping out the case. It's empty. The case is completely empty. So he's cleaning it out, and then he puts the jewelry back in, like after his night's over. Like, well, what were you carrying in that case if your case was empty, right? So there's all these little pieces that Jeffrey's like, something's not right here. And then you see him with a butcher knife and a saw.
Yeah, putting it in
What are you supposed to expect? Like, you're wrapping it in newspaper,
right.
which I think must have been buried.
Yeah, because
in the garden.
I think that is what he took back out of the garden, maybe, or that is what he buried in the garden.
Yeah, they never show that.
Yeah, they never tell you what was buried. Or no, I think at the end they tell you what was buried and you had to dig it up. But I can't remember what the detective said at the very end.
I don't think he said what it was. I think he just said he had to unbury it or whatever because they were getting suspicious.
It was the ending was very quick. It
was really quick. It was that's where the action happened and it was over.
Yeah, we'll talk about that because I thought that was so weird how they ended that movie. But so at this point, did you kind of guess what happened after that that morning when he woke up? And I think that
I think you kind of knew something was weird because there were so many things.
I don't remember if it was right after that night that I was like, oh, he cut her up and sent her in pieces to...
I don't know if I connected that. I don't know what else I would have connected, but I definitely connected that something happened with that wife. Like, she wasn't going to be there.
Yeah, I know the night of, when I saw him leaving with the briefcases, I wasn't like, oh, he cut up his wife. But at some point the next day, I think it was when the trunk came.
Well, also when you see him cleaning saws and like a butcher knife, it's like, okay, I think there might be something a little bit more nefarious here.
Yeah. As soon as the saw came into the picture, I'm like, oh, he cut up his wife and...
Yeah. And but like, you're like, because the crazy thing, I didn't want to say the end, but it kind of ties in with that. Like, fine. At the end, they say they're going to take him on a tour of the river. Yeah. So like, did he just like chop her up and like throw her in the river? Because he doesn't ever carry a body out.
Yeah. So I think the trunk, they said all her clothes were in. So
yeah, that trunk is wild.
Yeah. So the trunk, I don't think he put any body parts in.
That would be pretty bold to have a trunk and then have moving men just like take your wife's dead body somewhere.
That's what I thought he did. I thought he put the torso in there. And because you can't put the torso in the briefcase. Yeah, but they checked
it, right? The detective checked it.
So, I mean, from what it looks like, he took everything he could in the briefcases for those 2 trips, brought them to the river, and then at some point took the rest of her out of the apartment.
That's a horrible thing.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how he did it because the torso would not fit in a briefcase. No.
And he had to have somebody, like, in on it because he had a woman go to the train station with him, buy a ticket, and get on a train.
Yeah, whoever that one... Well, I don't know if she was in on it, but he could have hired her, maybe.
Maybe, were they having an affair, maybe?
Because he's a salesman.
Yeah, we don't know.
It could have been a number of people.
I think at one point they alluded to the fact that he was having an affair with someone. But yeah, like the trunk. And then the detective, Doyle, is telling him, you're imagining everything. And Jefferies is just like, but look, all these pieces together.
Yeah.
And Doyle was just not having it. He's like, you're delusional. Like, you've been in that chair for too long, watching your neighbors for too long. But the funny part I love is when Doyle's in the apartment and he's not giving Jefferies the time of day with this story, but he starts staring at Miss Torso. Oh, I don't know her real name. That's what they call her.
How's your wife?
Yes, I love that line every time because he's just Doyle to me is just a creep. Like, he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just a detective, you know?
He's kind of they kind of all, except Stella, it's funny, they all kind of treat each other poorly. Like, Doyle treats Jefferies like crap for the most part. And Jefferies isn't always that nice to Lisa. Like it's just weird. It's a weird like I don't know.
I mean, I know
relationship between the characters.
I think him and the detective just have a buddy relationship because they said they were in the same plane.
Yeah.
In World War II, so.
I just feel like if I'm telling you that I think something bad is going on, he did look into it though.
I can see both sides because I'm sure that detective sees people thinking somebody got killed, and
yeah, he did say. Well, the one part that really annoyed me was when Lisa was kind of backing up Jeffrey's story and saying, what woman goes away without her jewelry and her favorite purse and her wedding ring? And he's like, if I had to take a lead for every women's intuition that ends up wrong, like, I'm just like, you're such a, like, you could see how, and I'm by no means a feminist, but like how they didn't treat women with the same, like, they didn't feel like women had that, maybe not intellect, but like, he looked at her as, you're just like a fashion lady. Like, you don't know much. Like, I'm not going to take what you say.
Right. And I can see both sides of it because I'm sure he hears that all the time from
I think he mentioned
women.
that, yeah. If I, every lead I follow women's intuition. Yeah.
So I can see it going both ways, but I think he does enough research into it. He did more than I thought he was going to do.
The guy kind of really tried to. He could have gotten away with it because he really set out all his steps, like the women getting on the train and like sending her luggage and all. Like he really tried to plan this sort of perfect murder.
Yeah. And
had Jefferies not been in a wheelchair, he probably would have gotten away with it.
Yeah, but I mean, he went and checked. He had somebody go check the trunk, open it, check everything. So he did way more than I thought he was going to do as far as detective work. I thought he was just going to do a couple phone calls and that was it.
And I think it was really to put Jefferies in his place. Like, I'm just going to prove that you're delusional.
I don't think he was doing it out of the kindness
No, he wasn't. He was definitely doing it to put Jefferies in his place.
Yeah, so like you said, the salesman took all the steps to cover everything up. The only step he forgot was to put his shades down in his apartment.
Exactly.
So, but I did have there was a moment like an hour or so in where I was like, there's no way he wouldn't notice Jefferies peering into his apartment this whole time.
I thought the same thing. Like, nobody saw him just like chilling in his window all the time watching them.
Yeah, nobody pays him any attention, which is kind of like, nobody pays anybody attention.
And I'm curious if that's, I mean, I've never lived in an apartment building like that. And it's in New York City. So there's, I'm curious, do you really just live your life like that, not knowing?
No, no way.
There's no way.
I've been in 3 different apartment buildings. You see what your neighbors are doing.
I feel like I know here in a house, like I know what my neighbors are doing.
Yeah, even if most of the time, I mean, it's just by accident. You'll just be looking out your window and then you see, oh, your neighbor's out in the backyard or whatever.
Because he watched them all day long.
Yeah.
And all night. And
the salesman eyesight is exactly in line with Jeffrey's eyesight. So like there's times where the salesman sitting on this couch smoking a cigar looking out the window like pretty much at Jeffrey's apartment.
But maybe you're just looking around because I mean Jefferies would make a very big point, and I guess it was the lighting in the movie where it was like, back up, he can see you. And it would just be right when you get in that shadow and you're like, oh, can he really not see you now? Like you're backed up far enough. But I could see like the shadow light where they were playing off of that. But the other thing, and I never thought about it till today, if he's trying to prove something, do you think he should have been taking pictures?
I thought about it too. I'm like,
you're a photographer. You're using the lens on your camera. Like, why are you not taking pictures?
Yeah,
at least you could like paint a story with them.
Right. I thought the whole premise of the movie was going to be him taking pictures of this random stuff, and then in the end connecting all the pictures to like a killer or whatever.
Never took a picture.
But I guess because it was filmed back then, so it'd have to get sent out to get developed, and it would take way too long to.
Oh right, it's not you're right.
It's not a digital camera, so that's the only thing I can think of why he didn't take pictures. Yeah. And because film's
But I love that he used the lens. Yeah. So played into him being the photographer.
Yeah.
And like the binoculars were just not enough. So he had this like high end lens for 1954 that he could see with such detail.
Being somebody who works with a lot of cameras now, cameras are ruined in movies for me because there's no way he would be able to zoom in that far with that lens that he had.
Really?
Yeah. No.
It was only across the courtyard.
Exactly. It was. Lenses don't do...
I literally know nothing about cameras.
Yeah, I mean, that was what, at most like a 400 millimeter lens. He's not getting to the point where he can see the street behind the apartment building to see who's in the restaurant.
See, I would have never done that.
And see who's on that street.
Because I know nothing about cameras.
Yeah. So
I honestly would have thought that the binoculars were more of a
that's I'm
like you
pretty
could
sure
see more of it.
binoculars. I don't know the actual numbers for binoculars, especially back then. But from what my first thought was, his binoculars would be able to see farther than his lens would.
That's what I
But
thought.
I don't know what 1954 lenses were like.
Yeah.
But just being somebody who works with modern cameras, that lens would not get you that view from his apartment building.
Yeah, right.
Not every view that he sees.
Well, they played it well.
Yeah, to the salesman's apartment, I think he'd be able to see a good bit because it doesn't look like they're very far. But everything else is very far fetched as far as where
Yeah, like across the street. And
it's
stuff.
a movie, so
Yeah.
like, nobody's gonna pay attention. But just somebody who, because I work with cameras, I notice that stuff right away. But so then the scene with the dog, where the dog's digging in the yard.
Yeah, the dog was digging the whole movie, and they kind of, I don't know, foreshadows the right word, but do you remember in the beginning when he's out there in his garden, the Thorwald is out there in the garden, the woman tells him, "You're digging too deep. You're digging too deep," and you get kind of the thought that what's he going to put in there? Because you're like, he obviously knows how to garden. It's his garden. They're all his flowers.
He was planning to murder her already?
Yeah, it had to be. It
I didn't even notice that.
Premeditated.
Yeah.
So she told him he was digging too deep, and then every time after that dog is out there digging in that same spot. Like something was down there and he knew it. That dog. The poor little dog gets lowered in his little basket
every morning. And as soon as that dog started digging, I'm like, oh, there's obviously he planted something in the garden.
Yeah. And then the woman, you hear like so this is the crazy part. Lisa convinces him, we're done for the night, we're going to close the blinds, right? And then you hear the scream. So it's just that one time in the whole movie, he had his blinds closed, and you hear the scream, and the dog is dead. So he did not witness Thorwald killing the dog, which is wild. Like the whole movie, those blinds are open. Nobody in the apartment complex.
Everybody's got these giant windows open, and nobody sees Thorwald snap this dog's neck.
It's crazy. And you're like, oh, well, now we know why, because he didn't want the dog to dig up whatever was there, whatever he planted in the garden. And they made a point to say the only person that didn't come out when they heard the scream was Thorwald. So that's how they knew, like, he killed this dog.
Yeah, they're like, notice who's not at their window.
Everybody else came out.
And he's in
that
there.
woman was wild, though. Like, throwing all kinds of accusations around, like, what kind of neighbors are you? Like, they all conspired to, like, kill this little dog for some reason.
And I think that same night, right before that, is when the detective comes back and says that there were witnesses that saw the wife leave at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Like they saw her get on a bus or whatever.
And then he gets the call there, and whoever the officer that called him confirmed, I can't remember what point he confirmed.
That the
trunk was picked up by the person it was addressed to.
Yeah, so he had this whole plan to use a different woman to pretend to be his wife.
Yeah, he was really covering all his tracks.
Yeah, so at this point, detective pretty much is like, the case is closed. Like people saw her leave on the bus and everything, and that's when the detective kind of gives up on the case. And then right before he leaves, Jeffrey says, "Yeah, can you send me a good detective?"
Yeah.
When he's like, "Can I do anything else for you? Send me a good detective." That was so good.
But this is when like Lisa and Stella are like, well, we're going to take it upon ourselves because Jeffries can't leave the apartment. So we're going to become the detectives.
And there's also that the detective talks about how the postcard came in too from Marysville. But
Jeffries is like, why does he send a postcard if he talked to her that night?
Yeah.
Because he was calling, like, whoever he was calling long distance. They never really say they figure out who that was. But if you're calling and she's confirming she's there, why is she then sending you a postcard saying, hey, I'm here?
Yeah. So he planted a postcard too to try and cover it.
And not for nothing, we should bring postcards back.
There's a lot of stuff
I love getting postcards.
But I put rest in peace to Mr. Snuffles because you don't know the dog's name. So I just said Mr. Snuffles for the dog's name. He knew too much. I wrote that, and then the next scene, Lisa said the dog knew too much. Oh, it was so funny. But
genius.
I called the dog Mr. Snuffles because I don't know if they ever said his name. And so the climax of the movie is when all three of them pretty much team up to catch him, to figure out if he's the killer, because they're kind of on their own at this point.
They needed to get the evidence that to prove that this was really happening. They weren't crazy. Something was happening, and they were going to take all these steps to make sure they could figure it out.
And I'm pretty sure they were hoping they would find the ring in the garden one of the wedding rings.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they were looking for the ring or
they
something.
They wanted to find something in the garden, but one of their...
I definitely don't think they were expecting like a body in there.
Yeah, so Stella and Lisa go out to the garden.
Well, they give him the note first. So Jefferies writes the notes and says, "What did you do with her?" Mm-hmm. And Lisa goes over and
he says, yeah. Did he say we know what you did with her?
No, I think he said, "What did you do with her?" Yeah. So Lisa brings the note, and automatically you see his face, and he's like, "Oh shit, somebody knows this happened."
And I do like this setup in the movie. I like that he is seeing it from his apartment, and you can see the whole apartment layout from. I thought that was pretty cool.
But it's like, you're looking out the window, you don't think it's one of your neighbors? Like,
right, yeah.
Who do you expect it to be?
Yeah, he's so oblivious to the fact that he has neighbors across the way from him that can see right into his apartment, I thought that was very dumb. But you have to have a movie set up like that for this to work. You have to have him be oblivious to the fact that his neighbor's spying on him right across the way the whole time with a giant lens and binoculars. So
yeah, I feel like you'd see that. I don't know.
Yeah, he definitely would have
I'm pretty observant, though. But then they had to figure out how to go out and shovel. So Jefferies made the call to say, "I know what you did, basically. Meet me at this bar.
Yeah.
And we'll," like, basically saying, "You need to pay me to keep the information a secret." Mm-hmm. He's like, "I'll buy you 15 minutes." To Lisa and Stella. So they go out to shovel.
Yeah, so Stella and Lisa go out to the garden to dig up whatever is on the flowers because they realize that the flowers are shorter now.
Yes. I did not realize they had to like go down and climb up and climb over. Like, I don't know why I didn't realize, or I thought you could just walk across the courtyard.
Yeah, I thought it was just a flat courtyard.
I know they had to go to the basement to get the shovel.
Oh, okay, that's why.
But like, why are you then climbing? Like, why couldn't you just come to street level and just walk over there?
Yeah, it was like, that layout was a little weird.
It was wild.
But they don't find anything in the garden.
Nothing.
And then that's when Lisa's like, "Okay, I'm gonna Batman up this fire escape,"
and Grace Kelly did that. She did not have a stunt double.
Nice. And she goes into the salesman's apartment because he's still at the bar, and she ends up finding the ring.
I thought it was so cool how, because she was getting arrested because he caught her in the apartment. Luckily, Jefferies was like, "This guy's coming back and he's gonna kill her if I don't figure it out." Yes, he calls the cops. Yeah. And the cops get there, and Lisa's getting arrested. And when she has her hands behind her back, she wiggles her finger. And that's how he knew that Jefferies was watching him the whole time. Mm-hmm. But she did scream Jeff when he was attacking her. I was like,
"No, why are you screaming Jeff? Because that gives him away."
But then she gave him away anyway, because he saw her wiggle. Yeah. And she had the wedding ring. And that's when finally Jefferies convinced Doyle, we have the ring now, dude. Like,
yeah, and the salesman finally decides to look up out of his window.
Yeah, when he finally was like, "Oh, that's who's been watching me the whole time."
"Oh, my neighbor who's been sticking a lens in my window this whole time has been spying on me." And then he knows.
Can we just take a little side note though? As this is going on, you're still seeing stories of the other neighbors, right? So you're still seeing the newlywed couple that's constantly doing what they're doing.
Every time he goes to the window, she calls
she's like,
his
"Come
name.
on!"
Yeah.
But the saddest part to me was Miss Lonely Hearts, because she first of all, she almost got raped.
Yeah.
And that's right before Lisa got caught, because he was going to call the police for her.
And he was calling the police for her.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, is there going to be a double murder? Because that would be a crazy twist.
She hurts my soul, because I'm like, she's so sad.
Yeah.
And I really thought she was going to kill herself when I first saw it.
I thought the twist was her getting killed.
Well, she would have killed herself, but then she heard the music.
Yeah, yeah. And then
I was like, oh.
But I thought the twist was going to be she gets killed, and the cops are going to come help her, and Lisa's going to die to the salesman because the cops are helping Miss Lonely Heart.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, what a twist that would be. But she ends up beating the guy up and telling him to leave. And but the cops.
Well, this was after that part, though. After that, she was going to kill herself, because remember the nurse saw the red pills and she was like, "I've seen enough of those." And I'm like, "Please don't kill yourself.
Yeah.
That'd be so sad."
And then was she gonna kill herself while the salesman was coming over to Jeffrey's apartment, or was that after?
It was before that, I think.
Oh, because they were calling 911. Yeah.
Sorry, because they were gonna call 911 for her, and then it was like, "Oh crap, he's back. I gotta call for her because he's gonna try to kill Lisa."
And then I think Stella's like, "The music." And he starts playing the piano, and she looks up.
Got captivated by it.
Yeah. And then you get the salesman coming over to Jeffrey's apartment now.
Yes. because Lisa
got arrested.
Lisa got arrested and Stella went to go bail her out.
Yeah.
So now Jefferies is alone.
Yeah.
But the number of footsteps it takes.
Number one, the number and how loud they were. Everybody in the apartment knows somebody's going to his apartment now. Like, there's no way that people, like, if the cops came and were like, hey, did you hear footsteps at 9 p.m.? People were like, yeah. Some dude was stomping up the steps for, like, a whole minute.
That was crazy. I was like,
so
how
loud.
long are these footsteps going to keep going?
And then in the very beginning of the movie, I noticed right away that they don't lock his door ever. Nobody ever locks Jeffrey's door.
I don't think people locked their doors in 1954.
Yeah, and so it came to that part with his door, and I'm like, oh, man, like, nobody ever locks that door.
And he's alone, and he can't move.
And he has a cat, yeah. So I really like the shot of them two in the dark.
With the flashbulb?
Well, okay. The shot of them in the dark together was cool.
Yeah.
The flashbulb I thought was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Well, funny enough, so Hitchcock wanted to make it as realistic as possible.
Yeah.
So he took actual flash bulbs and went and snapped, whatever you call it.
I guess, yeah.
To their, like, two people on the crew.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you see? And they're like, well, it's not white. We see orange.
Like an orange dot, yeah.
And that's why he made it where it would flash and it would go orange.
Right.
That's how he made it. Apparently that was like a really difficult effect to do back in 1954. I thought that was cool that he was like, because that's blinding. I mean,
I didn't like that the salesman wasn't smart enough to just close his eye and walk towards him. That's what I didn't like. After the second time you get flashed, like, okay, he's going to keep doing it. I'm just going to close my eye and walk towards you. He's in a cast. He's not going anywhere.
Do I, and I don't know, because I don't know anything about cameras, back then, like, those flash things were kind of expensive, weren't they?
The flash bulbs, yeah.
And they were, like, one use,
it's one
right?
Use, yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I had to keep refilling it every time. But
Yeah.
I was like, just close your eyes, man, and walk towards him. I know you're in a different apartment, but, like, he's right in front of you. You don't have to keep your eyes open the whole time.
I liked that concept,
I thought that was dumb. As like a
I like we have two different perspectives on that because I'm like, that's cool.
Because like back then in 1954, that was probably the most dramatic thing people were watching. Like that was great. That scene was like so suspenseful and like
I loved that.
This
scene.
killer's about to get Jefferies, and I was just sitting there and I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Close your eyes, salesman. You won't get blinded.
I wrote that I really liked that he used flash bulbs to distract him.
I think it was smart because I knew as soon as he took the flash bulbs out earlier, he's like, I'm going to signal to you if I see him coming back.
Yeah.
And he didn't use them. I'm like, okay, he's going to use them in the final act because they showed him getting them ready.
Yeah.
And stuff. I mean, they're going to come in. And then, but the salesman actually ends up getting a hold of him.
And trying to throw him out the window.
And he's trying
so aggressive.
He's trying to throw him out the window.
I think at first he tries to choke him. Because I think if I remember, you hear Jefferies like coughing, like he's choking. And then he was like, I'm just going to throw him out the window. I'm just going to throw him
out the window. And he kind of tries to get him to like, what do you want? You know, I'll give you...
Yeah, I don't have any money. Like, what do you want? What can I give you to keep your mouth shut, basically? But at that point, it's too late.
Yeah.
Like, they've got you.
And,
because I think, doesn't Jefferies tell him they have the ring now? Like, yeah.
And then, so he goes to throw him out the window, and Jefferies is hanging onto the window, and everybody starts running outside. And everybody sees.
Yeah. And the cops are there at that point.
Yeah, everybody's there now.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. It was very 1954 when they have the sped up footage. Yeah. Of everybody running out of their apartment. I'm like, why is this sped up? Like, I get that people are moving fast to get out of their apartment, but it looks so bad when they're...
Especially, like, when the whole movie's very slow, and then it's like...
And then all of a sudden, it's like, times 200 speed on these clips. And it's like, why... It looks so stupid. And, like... and then you have Jefferies. The cops get to the cop was like, give me your 38. Yeah. So he's going to shoot the salesman from the ground floor. But luckily the cops get into the apartment and then
the other two are down below.
Yeah. And then they tackle the salesman from the window, but then Jeffrey slips and I think his detective buddy, I don't know if his detective buddy catches him.
I think he kind of like buffered the fall a little bit, but the special effects of the fall,
they're so bad.
It's like so bad that it's great.
It's like,
and you see that they do the same thing in Vertigo when I think he falls in Vertigo at one point, and it's that same special effect.
It's like they took a snapshot of him falling and they just like let a picture down.
It's so great. I love it.
It's very 1954.
It's so bad, but it's so good.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, think about it. the special effects.
Yeah. I mean, if you saw that helicopter in the beginning too, the helicopter, little
Oh,
toy
I forgot about the helicopter.
The toy helicopter.
I had no idea what the point of that helicopter was, but it was so great. It's like a Hot Wheels helicopter on a string.
This random helicopter landing on an apartment building, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw that last night, and I'm like, why? What is the significance of that helicopter? It never comes back into play.
I thought at first there was like a hospital next to them and it's landing on, but no, it's like just landing on the apartment building.
Yeah, I don't understand the point
and
of that.
And it's never brought up. It's
was
never
it like
mentioned.
It's supposed to be like this big city, so like let's just throw a bunch of elements in. I was gonna say
like maybe like a rich person took a helicopter to whatever they need to go to, but it's
wild.
Never brought up, never shown again. It's just a toy helicopter landing on this roof.
Yeah, I never understood the point of that.
That effect was also really bad,
but really great.
So they kind of at this point. So he falls from the window, and him and his detective friend talk for like a second. And then right after that, the detective peeks out the window and gets the entire story of what happened from the salesman. He peeks over and he's like, oh, he murdered his wife and put her body in the river. He's
gonna like go show us a tour of the river.
And then he's like, and he puts them in the garden. And he explains his entire story.
Yeah.
In
he
like
pieced
5
it together,
seconds. He explains the whole story in 5 seconds and then it's over.
Well, you get the final
You get everybody like being happy and stuff.
Yeah, Jefferies is now in 2 casts because he broke his other leg.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Which was not in the original script. At the end, they went to the end and Hitchcock was like, what do you think about breaking your other leg? And put him in another cast. And then Miss Lonely Hearts ends up with the musician, player, which I thought was so sweet.
Yeah.
And then you find out Miss Torso, she's having all these big parties and like all these like men around. Boyfriend. She's got a military husband or boyfriend that comes back from the war, and I was like, oh, how sweet.
Other than the fact that she cheated on him, but
did she though? Because the one guy kissed her, but then she pushed him away. So I don't know that she ever actually cheated.
I thought she kissed him.
I think she just hung out with a bunch of people.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense because she did push him away and go inside.
Yeah. And then you see like that Lisa's in the apartment with Jefferies, so you kind of get the impression they're going to end up happily ever after kind of thing.
I thought it was cool that the piano player and Miss Lonely
I know, that was together. So sweet. I love that. Because she was so sad.
But they really...
But she was happy, and if it mirrors, Lisa was happy too.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
But they really rushed that whole last part with them catching him and like explaining what he did to her.
It's almost like, did you run out of time? Because you could have cut a little bit. It really went fast, the end.
Yeah, the detective was like, he took her apart, put her in the river, he dug up something in the yard, and then next scene.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
And they never do say what was buried. I imagine it was the hacksaw, because he wrapped it in the newspaper.
Yeah, they don't... I thought it was like fingers or something, but him wrapping that up in newspaper was the only other thing they showed him working on.
Yeah, I think that's what it had to be.
Yeah, I think that he buried that stuff, and then the dog was digging it up. So
the dog was like, I'm gonna get it.
Dog knew too much.
Yeah.
If they really wanted to cap off the movie, they would have had that couple with another dog going down the basket at the end of the movie. Mr. Snuffles.
Like a full circle moment.
Yeah, another dog. Those people got the worst of it. They just got their dog killed. There's nothing else for them. They're not.
Yeah, they never showed them at the end.
Yeah, those poor people got screwed in this situation. They just lost their
dog. But then they show, the funny thing is they show the newlyweds arguing finally. I would have never married you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's funny. But yeah, I really like the combination of James Stewart and Hitchcock. I think they do movies really well together.
This is probably only the one I've seen of them two together, from what I imagine.
They actually worked really well together. They really liked each other to the point where when Hitchcock asked him to be in the movie, James Stewart, I always called him Jimmy Stewart, but James Stewart didn't even read the script. He's like, I'm in.
Oh,
and then when he read the script, he was so confident that it would do well that he's like, I don't even need you to pay me. I'll just take part of the film's profit.
That's cool.
So like he probably made out better anyway.
Yeah.
In the end, because it made so much money.
Movies.
But yeah, they had a really good working relationship. But the funny thing is that I found out, the guy that played the detective didn't like James Stewart in real life. Really? And I was like, that tracks, because he played that really, it wasn't really, maybe he really just didn't like him, so he played it that well. But he said he was very arrogant, maybe he said.
I can see that.
But nobody else really said that. He seemed to have gotten along with everybody else. But I could see that a little bit of, he said he had a big ego when it came to the film. But James Stewart said this was the best Hitchcock film he ever made and one of his favorite films he did.
It was all right.
That hurts me a little bit, I have to say.
Yeah, it was all right. I don't know if I'd ever watch it again.
Yeah, I would watch it again because I really like it a lot. It's not something I could watch on repeat like I do with other
Yeah.
movies, but it's definitely something that like if it's on TV, I'm not going to turn it off.
This was this might have been a part of it, but I was very annoyed that I stayed up till 1:30 in the morning to watch this movie.
That's your own fault.
I don't know, I wanted more. I wanted it to be more, but
I think you have to. Hitchcock movies are very much like this,
where it's like a lot of build up and
yes.
then yeah.
But there may be other ones that you might like a little bit better because there's a little bit more action. But this one to me is one of my favorites. I don't think it's my favorite. I think it's top 2. But so now you have to tell
top
me
2 Hitchcock films?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not all of all time, but
yeah, this is like a 4.
Oh, that's really low.
It's like a 4 out of 10 for me. I would never watch this again.
As much as I like it, I probably give it. This is probably my lowest rating that I've given so far, but I think I'd give it a 7.
That might be low for you. I don't remember. But yeah.
As much as I like it, there's other movies that if they came on, I would say I'd watch that before this one.
Yeah.
But I do love this movie. It's a really good movie. It's very Hitchcock, which I love. So yeah, I think probably a 7.
Yeah, this is not it for me.
I have trouble putting movies on a number scale because I could literally, depending on the moment, I could be like, oh, that's a 10 because I loved it in the moment. But I'm trying to be very, what's the word?
Rational?
No. I don't know what the word I'm trying to think of is, but I'm trying to look at it in a full lens. Like, okay, I love watching it. While I'm watching it, it's like, this is amazing. But I'm trying to put it in perspective.
My rule of thumb is I think about it, would I put this on again?
I would.
That's how I number my scale.
I think every movie we've done so far, besides The Mist, I would watch again.
anything under like a 5, I would probably not watch again. Anything above 5, I'd probably put on myself to watch it again.
Okay.
That's how I scale it. And it's like, a 4 is like, if it's on and like somebody wants to watch it, I'll watch it. But I'm never going to put it on for somebody. And I'm never going to watch it.
So the fact that I bought it on 2 different platforms last night, you're like, I don't really care.
Yeah. Hey, I did watch it. But yeah,
now I own it on 2 different streaming services.
Yeah. Lucky you. But yeah, this wasn't my favorite, but the movie was well done for what it is and for the time. I
feel like you can appreciate the kind of like I don't know if craftsmanship's the right word, but of the film.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
it's those little. It's more the subtle things that take place, and I think when you learn some of those things, it makes it even more. At least for me, it makes it even more interesting.
Yeah, especially about Lisa and Mrs. Lonely Heart.
That was so cool because I don't think like that.
Yeah, them mirroring each other is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that's it for Rear Window. That pretty much covers the whole movie, considering nothing much really happened in this movie, unfortunately. But let us know what you thought of Rear Window, and if you liked it, if you stayed up till 1:30 in the morning to watch this movie. But until next time, that is episode 7 of Not the Front Row Podcast, and thank you for listening.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.